Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. Today is a special treat. We'll be releasing 2 videos today. This first video features Michael Mills and Ross Jennings. I specifically wanted to hear something that had Michael throughout it because both times that I've heard him, he has blown me away. And it's always been in small little segments, so I want to hear an entire song with him. And he helped to co-compose this with Arjen Lucassen. So Michael Mills did the lyrics and Arjen did the music. Right after this video, we're going to be interviewing Arjen, and he has some really fun insights about Michael, so you'll want to check that out. It is going to be my first time as well hearing Ross Jennings. Let's get to it. All right, let's talk for just a little bit about the man Arjen, who is the person we'll be interviewing right after this video premieres. Arjen is such an awesome person. He's genuine, he's brilliant. He doesn't have any formal training in music, and I think that's allowed him to develop a style that is awesome and combines things you might not normally expect. So he's just a very, very fantastic person and human being in general. He also writes really, really well for singers, and he loves synthesizers so much. It's really fun to see all of these different keyboards hooked up to different things behind here and listen to how perfect the sound is, right? It's so science fiction-y. I like it. I like it. You guys do not have either dual speakers going on or headphones to listen to this, I think you should probably grab a pair right away, because at the very beginning, this tick-tock of the clock, the way it's spatialized side to side, it really sounds like you're in the middle of the clock, or even like a metronome, and you hear it on a left and then a right, and it's going back and forth, and it really hits and bounces off the sides of the sound field, if you want to call it that. It's pretty fun to be in the middle of. So yeah, grab headphones or get, if you've got the dual monitor set up, go for that. I just really recommend listening to this in something that can give you that sense of sound spatialization. Back to the beginning. It's cool. It's good production. It's very singable. It's a good melody. I'm really curious, the extra synthesized voice that entered there. I wonder if that was Michael or if that was Ross. I don't know who it was, but it sounded really cool. And you might have even noticed it panned and went across, again, that sound field as we were going on, which was really a cool effect to have with it. Okay, keep going. Okay, sorry, Michael. I really dig the time signatures in there, the way that they were shifting back and forth. There was a lot of time signature shift that I heard happening. It was really fun. At one point, it sounded like we had a 1, 2, 3, then a 2 combo, then maybe a 2 and then a 3 combo. And it made me wonder if you were already starting to reference that loop in time. This album that's going to be coming out soon called Star One, that this song is featured on. This was an early release for it. So this album is all about time travel. Every song is based on a movie that in some way is related to time travel. And so this one in particular is based on a lesser known film called Primer. It was a low budget film that actually did really, really well, and it has a super complex plot that's all about looping time, essentially. So let's go back just a little bit. I want to see if I can catch those time signatures. They're very complex, which is cool. That'll take some analysis.
Here, let me show you, even though a mere 3 days have passed. This protein, it typically takes 6 years to amass. All the lab guys don't believe, they think that it's a joke. So I put my watch inside and counted back the scratch. Yes, I know, but take a look here at the head.
Whoa. I really dig the way that they've layered the vocals back and forth and the back and forth between these two guys. I think they're representing the two main characters in the film, Abe and Aaron, I think are their names. And that sort of discovery of time travel that they find. I think it's so interesting because you already are feeling like when Ross came in, you heard the layering of the voice, which gives it a feeling of maybe having a wider timescape already happening, which is very, very cool. And I think it's so interesting to hear Michael Mills in this kind of singing style right now. We're getting tons of words. It's all about the narration. He has so much possibility in his voice. He can go high, he can go low, he can layer, and he's got all of these different colors and inflections he can deliver in between. And I can hear all of these details going into how do I relate these lyrics as quickly as possible, take this person on this journey and give them emotion behind that as well, so they know what the original character might be feeling. Let's go back one more time here, a little further.
Show you, even though a mere 3 days have passed.
So if you even listen to the places where he chooses to slide in there, he's extremely deliberate. He had it on E, even though 3 days have had another one as well. It's cool.
Here, let me show you, even though a mere 3 days have passed. This protein, it typically takes 6 years to amass. All the lab guys don't believe, they think that it's a joke. So I put my watch inside and counted back the scratch. Yes, I know, but take a look here at the No, I believe you, I really do, but let's not overreach.
Oh, wow. Ross has a sweetness and a certain sentimentality in his voice immediately that really countered the more aggressive edge in Michael's voice. Such an interesting combo of voices. I'm excited to hear more of them together. But I just want to shout out, I love that they've put this, it feels like there was a 7/4 that was in there at one point. But I am amazed by the way that they've made these time signatures flow into each other. There's moments where you feel a grouping. That time I felt groupings of 4s and 3s. And I think this is echoing that same motif, essentially, that we heard earlier. It feels catchy, yet it feels like it spins you back at one point, which is very appropriate for this idea of time travel. I really like the composition of the instrumental interlude that we have between here.
You watch inside and counted back the scrolls. Yes, I know, but take a look here up ahead.
Oh, that's so cool. It's delightful.
I believe you, I really do, but let's not overreach. This thing is not just pure mechanics and no heat. Right, so we build a box that's big enough to fit into something private and secure. You know what we could use. Who is that? What the who is it you?
Interesting when you hear the back and forth, it almost sounded like the voices were going back and forth. Again, really works with this idea of time travel. I am digging how well this song feels like it's already encompassing time travel. You've got moments that feel like they're pulling from Twilight Zone, from older sci-fi films, right? That's sort of the general feeling you get from even just watching the video. But then you have these moments that feel extremely progressive, where you're really playing with the production and the structure of music to give that idea of looping through time. I think it's just, it's just candy. I feel like my brain is so excited to digest it.
To fit into something private and secure. You know
That's a nice
what we
voice.
could use. Who is that? What the who is it you?
Nice point.
Who cares if every moment
Love particularly the delay that was on this instrumental solo moment, the way you would hear echoes of it. And I think that goes very well with this idea of when they would hop in the box and they'd loop back in time, seeing the sort of images or duplications of self. And it's like you almost have duplications of the melody. The timing on that delay was particularly fantastic, the way that it felt like it was really in time with the music. So it felt like it mathematically made a lot of sense as well. That's cool.
Who cares if every moment isn't perfect? It hasn't disappeared. We can reverse engineer things, making every choice immaculate and ideal. So what if every perfect moment isn't that moment reappears? And the chance is infinite. We can just keep on going back and live the past until we time it tight. Get it right. As if every moment.
I love the lyrics here. I love the lyrics and how they're set. It's so fascinating the way he's pulling out certain words and really drawing attention to it, almost like it's jagged in the time. Normally you would feature words that are very important as standalone words, right? And they're drawing attention to it because they're separating it and making it standalone. So the word "and" is not usually considered an important word because "and" it's a conjunction. Nobody really cares about it. It's dropped in sentences and the flow and dynamic of sentences all the time. So they've taken it out and said, no, pay attention to this word. It makes it feel jagged. It makes you feel like maybe things are broken down or not fitting in the right spot at times. even ideal, the word ideal was broken into two different parts, and I like that they highlighted that in the movie as well, so that you could see that it was broken apart. Oh, this is so cool. I wonder, I feel like there are deeper patterns here. And the harmony is really lovely, especially the way they're able to keep it light while still sounding smooth at the same time and having so many words go past.
Who cares if every moment isn't perfect? It hasn't disappeared. We can reverse engineer things, making every choice immaculate and ideal. So what if every perfect moment isn't that moment reappears? And the chance is infinite. We can just keep on going back and live the past until we time it tight, get it right. Cares if
That's such a great phrase too. Who cares if every moment isn't perfect? Because they can reverse engineer things. I like that they have tapped into this idea from the film of, oh well, we'll go back and just make the moment right, and then later, of course, get into the cost of what that might really require. I like this section.
Who cares if every moment isn't perfect? It hasn't disappeared. We can reverse engineer things, making every choice immaculate and ideal. So what if every perfect moment isn't that moment reappears? And the chance is infinite. We can just keep on going back and live the past until we time it tight, get it right. Cares if every moment isn't perfect? It hasn't disappeared. We reverse engineer things, making every choice immaculate and ideal. So what if every perfect moment isn't that moment reappears? And the chance is infinite. We can just keep on going back and live the past until we time it tight, get it right.
Whoa. So you essentially are getting the doubles of these guys going back in time with the vocal layering here. And they've done it so in such a smart way, really relying on production to help us split the voices up. Again, this is so good in headphones. It really works. So we had the who cares if every moment isn't perfect part, right? We had that quieter and center and a little bit lower, so a little less featured. It's been pulled back from the main featured parts. And we have the two characters essentially have been pulled to the side, and you can hear them essentially talking about their doubles in time and saying how you don't want to interfere with the doubles, just watch them and let's switch it. How do we make this moment more ideal? It really, really works. It works harmonically in the way they're interspersing words in here, but then just this idea, the way that they've produced the music lets you have that imagery very vividly. I love it.
Get it right, cares if every moment isn't perfect? It hasn't disappeared. We reverse engineer things, making every choice immaculate and ideal. So what if every perfect moment isn't that moment reappears? And the chance is infinite. We can just keep on going back and live the past until we time it tight, get it right.
Cool. So that was the moment when we got the title of the song. Now I am Prescient. I think Ross got to deliver that line. I'm impressed by the focus and ping that Michael Mills has on that top. It pierces it. It really cuts through everything. It feels like it can go forever and ever. And I know that he's also able to warm up the tone too if he wants to. But that really is contrasting nicely with Ross's voice. It has a little more warmth in it, a little more smoothness overall, while still having a really good metal rock kind of stylization. And it makes it so I can divide those two characters pretty clearly, just hearing them, not even having to see them. It's a good balance of voices to really work together in something like this where they're crossing over each other so much. Also, shout out, I think there was a vocoder in there. We definitely were getting all kinds of extra layers of voices, and Ross's sounded like it went through a vocoder at one point. It's cool. It suddenly felt very operatic to me. That moment was like, hey, let's have some really fun exposition. It felt Verdi somehow. Oh, yeah, dig it. Oh, I love the way that we've connected these lyrics of A end and B end, and then we go again, and it's linked it back into that instrumental interlude, and the way it had this very chromatic bridge material essentially before I got into this. It feels like a chorus for the instruments, really, but that was cool how they linked it into the lyrics here. And especially with the chromatics, because the way that they're saying, oh, this is an end no, but we're on this end no, we're going to go again. And the moment they said again, you can feel it's coming back to that really delicious instrumental. I love the way he added a little more distortion. Ross had such a nice smile in the sound when he first started that. Like, hey, I'm getting used to all these 30-hour days. Yeah, man, it's cool. We get to travel in time. That would be difficult to adjust to. And then the way he brought just a little extra snarl into the sound was a really nice tonal variation.
These 30-hour days. I can't get my hands to work. I just scroll across the page. How can you have no fear? I can drag and hide my doubles as I reappear. If only I could somehow stop this bleeding from my eyes. I'll feel the pain of what no back and tell you chasing every night.
I really like the way that Ross went up there. You hear him take a lot of full voice up into that higher register, and it sounded like he had a stretch. Sometimes people, when they're going up for a high note, this is especially pertinent, I think, to guys when you're singing higher, and a lot of guys I see will try and push the sound forward like this, and it can be very useful, almost like cats when they're pet. You know how they'll kind of lean into that feeling of being pet. So if you almost think about doing that, and it includes a lifting of the soft palate and the stretch here as well, that can help keep the tone a little more similar to some of the notes before, instead of just jamming it forward, which would be the tendency. And Ross does that really, really nicely here. One more time.
Somehow stop this bleeding from my eyes. I'll feel the pain of what no back can tell you chasing every night.
before we go into this next section, which sounds like it's going to have some acapella goodness, I want to talk about the rhymes that we're hearing in here. It's something that I've heard a little bit in Michael Mills' other work as well, in Toehider. And he's very talented at working lyrics into themselves. And Arjen was telling me that he's essentially just, when he works with Michael, he likes to just set him loose, set him free. This guy is so creative. And you hear wonderful, wonderful rhymes throughout in lots of places where you wouldn't even necessarily expect them. And then some where you would, and they tend to be very witty. I like the reappear and ears. There was a good spot there. But there's just tons of little moments where that sounds so nice. And it's important because if you think about the way that a vowel shapes sound, it will enhance certain frequencies, certain overtones a little bit more than other ones. And so if you have rhymes that are happening in these places together, there's not only a similarity that we're hearing in the vowel, but there's a similarity that happens automatically as a result in the tone and the overtones that are happening. And it's really cool to have that, a lot of those little things happening close together. It makes our ears perk up and be like, ooh, yeah, I like that. All right, acapella section, question mark? Whoa. I'm getting at least 4 main ideas there, and it sounds like each of them are layered. That's a lot going on at one point. That's a lot. Also, there's some ridiculously high notes for a male to be making that are happening in there, which is super cool. But again, it's really helpful the way that these are separated out. So you have center, right, left, and then they've also separated out a main line, I think, that Michael Mills is singing, where there's some more drive, essentially slightly different plugins are put on his voice to help it come forward a little more and sound a little bit different from some of the other voices in there. There's so much that is happening, and there's a lot of clarity in all of this vocal production going on with all of that happening, which is very, very difficult to achieve. One more time. They very successfully leave this on a question mark at the end. It sounded like almost like was it? No, it's just a major chord at the end, but the way it travels up is fascinating. And it had that chromatic material, again, that I associate now with the lead-in into this really fun return instrumental interlude that has the crazy time to signature shifts. And the way that they had that chromatic material, which makes you feel like, oh, it really needs to have some sort of resolution, and then just did a little triad at the end, meaning just 3 notes that went up. It left us with such a cliffhanger. One more time. That's really clever composition. Whoa. This was so cleverly constructed, from time signature shifts to moments where the melodies will loop back in the music, or you have sections that come back at you. You definitely get a sense of time travel as you're going through this song. Additionally, really good vocalists. They sound great together as well. Nicely balanced, I would say. And they sound great together in mass, which was really fun. And I love the production. I love the way that it kept them so clear, even when there were so many different layers. If you want to know how this kind of thing is done, how it's put together, how it's constructed, I highly recommend that you check out the interview that I did with Aryan. Here's a link to it. It'll be premiering right after this video today, so I hope I will see you over there soon. Thanks.